Jason Collette joins us right now.
Jason, as always, welcome back to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me back. How you guys doing today?
Well, Jason, I've got to ask you. Look at the Yankee matchup last night with the White Sox. Got A.J. Burnett going, I'm not crazy about. Okay, they got Phil Humber going. I figured the Yankees would batter this guy around. How did Phil Humber last night, Jason, almost no-hit the Yankees? What's that all about?
Phil Humber's been quite a surprise this year. You got to remember, this guy's got the pedigree. He was a top 10 draft pick back in 2005, coming out of Rice. The same year that had Jeff Neiman, Wade Townsend, and Phil Humber. All three of those guys went in the top 10. The pedigree's been there, but health has been a problem. He's had Tommy John surgery and whatnot. But last night featured a very good curveball, a very good two-seam fastball, moved it in, out, up, down, and kept everybody off balance. He's done the same thing, did the same thing to the Rays earlier this year, and he's looked good. He's been a very pleasant surprise. This was a guy that was just supposed to be a fill-in for Jake Peavy until he got ready. Jake Peavy's had a hiccup on his way back, and the White Sox really aren't that concerned because Phil Humber's done a darn good job in his place.
Our special guest talking baseball is RotoWire.com's Jason Collette. Jason, when Don Mattingly took over with the Dodgers last year, his first managerial job, I thought good for him. He's deserved it. He's worked hard to get to that point. Now he takes over a team that had the ownership stripped away by MLB to put somebody else in there, Tom Schieffer, to run the club. How will Don Mattingly's job be affected by the running of the LA Dodgers now by MLB and Tom Schieffer?
It shouldn't be affected at all. I mean, they've already got the talent on the field. They've already added a very good prospect, Jerry Sands. They've called him up a little earlier than expected, and Sands has done very well. They have other guys. Trayvon Robinson's another guy to keep an eye on in that organization that could come up soon. They have the talent in pieces. Matt Kemp's having a phenomenal year. The pitching staff, Kuroda, Billingsley, Kershaw's off to a good start. I did not think they were a playoff team coming into the season. I still don't think they're a playoff team, but they should still be very competitive. And so far, just the Matt Kemp turnaround is a very good thing for Don Mattingly because this is a guy whose talent went very much untapped, and he was underperforming and getting booed out of Dodger Stadium last year. So the turnaround there has been tremendous.
Our special guest talking baseball is RotoWire.com's Jason Collette on the Sports RX on 740 The Game.
Jason, the Yankees got some bad news about Phil Hughes yesterday. He scheduled for an MRI today. In the past, when you see things like that, guys have a dead arm, and then all of a sudden they try to get it loose again, and it doesn't get loose. It usually means that there's probably something wrong that they didn't want to face earlier. If you had a guess right now, worst case scenario, you think this is the last time we're going to see Phil Hughes this year?
I don't think so. One of the things, a real good guy, if you're, anybody listening, if you're on Twitter, a real good guy to follow is Will Carroll. He's at Injury Expert. He's the guy who works for Sports Illustrated, and he reported this morning that the MRI is not. They're not looking for an injury. They were trying to rule out an aneurysm in his shoulder. So they're not finding anything structurally wrong with him and why his velocity is down 4 to 5 miles an hour from where it's been. So if it's an aneurysm, that would be a problem. That would probably put him out for the year. But if that's not the case, then it could be just a matter of this dead arm. He could possibly be back in the second half. Personally, I'm a little pessimistic about when he's going to come back because of all the uncertainty around this. I mean, this is an entire offseason of rest didn't help this dead arm issue. So I don't see how another 4 to 6 weeks of rest is going to help him either.
Jason, let's talk about Jared Weaver. I mean, this is a guy who's always been a pretty good pitcher, always had a lot of good stuff, but this start, he's up 6-0 in April, striking out just about everybody he faces. The guy's unhittable right now.
The thing with Jared Weaver, if he was on the East Coast, everybody would be in absolute love with this guy. Unfortunately, because he's a West Coast pitcher, does most of his games when most of us are asleep on the East Coast, only us stat nerds and fantasy baseball guys are in love with him. But he is an absolute horse of a pitcher. A lot of people, they hear Weaver and think of his older brother, and Jared Weaver pitches circles around his older brother. I mean, this is a guy who's striking out 8 or 9 guys for every one that he walks. He's given up, I think, 2 home runs on the entire season. And if you're in town, you want to see him pitch. He's pitching against the Rays this Sunday over in Tropicana Field. The guy is worth the drive over from Orlando because he is that good. At this rate, this is what Ubaldo Jimenez was doing last year in the National League. Now you're seeing Weaver do it in a tougher league and against tougher competition than what Jimenez was facing last year.
This is the Sports RX on 740 Game. Our special guest talking baseball is RotoWire.com's Jason Collette on 740 Game. Something else, Jason? I'm watching the Yankees, and A-Rod is a different guy this year. It looks like he's in much better shape, moving around a lot better. I think this could be A-Rod's best year of the last 2 or 3. Just looks like he's got the hip is better now. He's running better. He's in great shape, isn't he?
He is. He talked about that in the offseason, that he was, taking care of himself. He tends to have really good seasons when he has a romantic interest in his life as well. Things are going good with Cameron Diaz. That's helping him. This is a guy right now, he's walking more than he's striking out. He's already has, 5 home runs, 17 RBI. He's scored 14 runs. He's hitting 350. And they really haven't played a lot of home games yet. I mean, he obviously is a really, really good hitter at home, and they haven't had a lot of home games because of the weather, and they've had a few rainouts and whatnot. When he gets to make up those home games and get into their heavier home schedule, look out. He can be in for a very good year.
Also, Jason, I'm looking down here at Joey Votto last year. Had a great season. And Joey Votto right now is batting .383, and this guy looks better now than he did last year during MVP season. Is Joey Votto, possibly Jason, getting even better now than he was last year?
He's an amazing talent. Another guy, he's walking a ton, and one of the reasons why he's walking a ton, he's a one-man show at this point. They're trying to toy around with the lineup with Scott Rowland being out. Dusty Baker's a big fan of lineup protection, so he's trying to get Joey Votto some lineup protection. He's got Brandon Phillips now hitting cleanup behind Votto, so they don't try to pitch around him. But Joey Votto, he's an all-around talent. He can steal bases as a first baseman, hit the home runs, drive in the runs. He's scored 21 runs already this year. He's only driven in 12, but he's been on base 50% of the time, which is an amazing stat for anybody. I don't care who you are.
Our special guest talking baseball is RotoWire.com's Jason Collette, always on 740 The Game.
Listen, is it just me, or does it seem like a lot of teams are having issues with the closer situation this year? A lot of movement closers, guys being removed from their closing duties. Seems like very early in the season for this to be going on, and it seems like it's happening all over the league right now.
It really is, and it's not just you. The kind of funny thing is normally there's some uncertain situations coming into it, but for the most part, saves was a pretty stable thing when the season started. Now everything's falling apart. The latest one's Jonathan Broxton. He had his issues at the end of last season. Now he's in a committee. Over here locally, Tampa Bay, Kyle Farnsworth is now the closer and has done very well in that role. But we're already looking at I'm looking real quick here. There's almost 40 pitchers that have already picked up a save this year, 43 to be exact. And we're only 3 weeks into the season. That's a really high number for this time of year. Normally that's right around 30, 31. But to have 43 pitchers pick up a save within the first 24 games of the season speaks exactly what you just raised. There are some problems. Some of these teams knew these problems coming into the season and hope these guys will be able to work it out. But these guys, the managers and such, are having a very short leash on these closers. If they're not doing the job, they're yanking them and putting somebody else in there.
Well, Jason, as always, I appreciate it very much. And Jason, we'll continue to talk to you. See you on RotoWire.com, BaseballProspectus.com. All right, Jason, thank you. I'll talk to you next week, my friend. Thanks as always.
All right, thanks, guys.
Always a pleasure.